Hi all of you awesome scuba divers out there, welcome to Scuba Diving Magazine and welcome to Ask Mark, our scuba diving Q&A. I'm Mark, a former scuba diving instructor and now scuba diving professional. Do my very best to answer your scuba diving questions. If you do have any questions, by all means pop it down in the comment section underneath this video and I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. The community does like to answer questions as well, which is awesome. Well done everyone. It's good to get as many views as possible because mine isn't the only one. I'm not the always correct scuba diving advice, but I got my 2 cents. I've seen a fair amount underwater. But yeah, if you do have any questions, by all means pop it down in the comment section underneath this video. And if you want to get it featured in an up and coming video, use the AskMark hashtag. It gets your question and your comment featured in an up and coming video. Today I'm answering a question from Gavin about diving with earplugs. So Gavin says, hi, I've been diving for ages and have always struggled with ear infections. How do you rate Docs Proplugs? Are there any alternatives? Personally, I'm not a huge fan of putting anything solid in your ears, but some divers do use pro earplugs. They make some for swimming and some for scuba diving. I think some are just earplugs and some are vented, so it's important not to have a airspace that is unvented because you can get positive and negative squeezes. So you need to make sure that you get the right ones. As far as alternatives, yeah, so the first one, I mean, I assume that you've tried a lot of treatments that I'll talk about a little bit later. But if you've tried all of those and you still get ear infections, then I usually err towards something more like a Pro Ear mask. So the Pro Ear mask is a diving mask, but it also has these ear cups. And they sit over your ears. You might be able to see they've got a little tube that runs from that ear cup to your actual mask itself. And that's so that you can equalize that airspace. Now, some water obviously can get in, but it's not going to be flushing in and around. So it's a better way of keeping a lot of water from flushing in and around your ears. And you can still equalize your ears, and you can still equalize that airspace because it's connected to your mask. So every time you breathe out through your nose, you're equalizing both your mask and those ear cups as well. If you dive in colder waters, I think they also do a hood as well. It's like a 2-layer hood. You put the first layer on first and it's got these big cutouts around your ears. You put the mask on and then the second hood goes over the top of those ear cups, I think. So you can still dive in colder waters. It probably makes it a bit more muffled, so you can't quite hear because whenever you're covering up your ears. But that's usually my recommendation before going to actual put stuff in your ears. I'd also talk to a dive doctor as well. There are quite a few about. It's just a matter of searching and finding one and just say, hey, I get a lot of ear infections. Can you sort of help me out? Chances are it's probably something like otitis externa, which is basically where the water gets inside of your ear and then it basically causes the skin to swell, and between the cells you get these little crevices, and then microbes and nasties can kind of get on the inside, and then if you don't dry it out, then they get a nice warm moist environment to just breed, and it just irritates your delicate sort of ear canal. So my usual recommendations to avoid that is avoid like cotton wool swabs, especially before a dive, because you're poking stuff in, you're removing your earwax, which is naturally hydrophobic and helps to prevent the water from getting to touching your skin anyways. If you do have like a lot of earwax, you can just use, when I use Otex, which breaks it up a bit, so you don't have just earwax everywhere. But before a dive, you can get pre-dive and post-dive treatments. Pre-dive treatments are often like drops that you put in your ear and they coat the inside with something hydrophobic. I've heard some divers use olive oil and yeah, it's just a drop or two in each ear, and it just coats the inside so that water doesn't actually get to touch the surface of the skin, so it doesn't cause it to swell and the microbes and all that kind of stuff. And then after the dive, dry your ears out. Again, you get post-dive treatment drops, so you put a drop in each ear, and it's usually some kind of alcohol that just makes it a bit more volatile. Some divers, if you tilt your head and kind of pull on your earlobe just to like massage it, just move it so that any water can drain out. I've even heard of some divers use a hairdryer on a very low setting, just blow it into your ear just to dry it out as much as possible. I assume that you tried most of those and you still get ear infections, in which case, yeah, I'd probably recommend more like a pro ear mask. There's quite a few designs out there. I just call it a pro ear mask because that was like the first one that I was introduced to, over jamming something in your ear, just because I'm not a huge fan. One, you got to get the right fit, which they do have like dummy ones that you can try on for size, but also, yeah, you're just jamming something else into your ear, which can irritate. And also, if you lose it, then yeah, you then got to buy a replacement. Whereas if it's an actual mask with ear cups and everything, it is just a little bit better. But yeah, earplugs, I know some divers, I mean, they wouldn't make them if they didn't work. I know some divers do get on with them. Touch wood, I've never, I don't think I've ever actually used them in the water, to be brutally honest, so I can't really say yes, they're amazing or whatever, but from what I've read, some divers definitely do get on with them, and they've been around for, well, ever since I'd been diving, so that's got to count for something. But my usual recommendation is to avoid putting anything in your ear other than, yeah, drops that are specifically made to prevent something like otitis externa. Yeah, it's a common problem to get some kind of ear pain, and a lot of divers usually put it down to, oh, I must not have equalized quite right, but actually it's a mild ear infection. Obviously it can be like mild barotrauma from not equalizing, but chances are it's just that you haven't dried out your ears between dives, and yeah, the skin just kind of swells, and microbes that are normally in your ear and microbes in the water get into those little crevices, and then they swell, and it gets uncomfortable for your ears. So yeah, and you can get treatments, and it's just drops that kills a lot of the nasties. That's my usual recommendations. Start off with the drops, both pre-dive and post-dive. Then if that doesn't work for you, then go for more of a pro ear mask, something external that just protects your ears from water from flushing in and around, and then maybe think about actual earplugs. But I'd usually talk to a dive doctor first, just so they can have a look in your ear, just see if there is anything else inside your ear that they can see with their special doctor eyeglass, whatever it's called. Yeah, rather than just jumping straight to earplugs. I'm not a fan of putting anything in my ear, especially anything solid. But yeah, any other questions, by all means pop them down in the comment section underneath this video. Use the @AskMark hashtag, it gets your question featured in up and coming video. And whilst you're here, if you do see any unanswered questions down in the comments below, by all means let them know if you've experienced it, or you can have any recommendations. Yeah, start a little conversation down in the comment section. Otherwise, remember to head over to our website scubadivermag.com, check out our magazine, subscribe to the channel here on YouTube. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.